My cock is destroyed, did they tell you that?
No, God!
It burst into flames like a sausage on a spit.
No, God, please, no! No!
I can't even piss without it running down my leg.
No! No!
I do not wish to hear of it.
House of the Dragon Season 2 started off pretty strong. Episode 1 gently reintroduced us into this world, but also wasted no time throwing us into the middle of the action. Episode 2 gave us some amazing performances, and really solidified the idea that the war between the Greens and the Blacks is in full swing. Tensions are rising with every innocent life taken. And then it all went downhill after Episode 3.
Oh, I've begun badly.
Don't get me wrong, there were good moments in the rest of the episodes of House of the Dragon. The Battle of Rook's Rest was heartbreaking in all the right ways. Most scenes of Aegon and Aemond were pretty good. Jace had his moments. But overall, the pace, logical consistency, and character consistency really dropped in the second half of Season 2. Before we focus on the final episode and all its, stellar moments...
It burst into flames like a sausage on a spit.
Let's go back to this conversation between Rhaenyra and Alicent. Initially, I wasn't too happy about the Sept scene because it made little sense. Both the Greens and the Blacks are way too affected at this point. Two people call themselves rulers of Westeros. Innocent children's lives have been taken on both sides. There is no turning back the clock. And it was quite annoying how hard they tried to hint at the idea that Rhaenyra, with her reservations and unwillingness to send dragons to war, is the new Jaehaerys the Conciliator.
This council would do well to remember that their queen wears the crown of my grandsire, Jaehaerys the Conciliator, a prudent ruler, the wisest of Targaryen kings whose reign outlasted every other, even Aegon the Conqueror's.
How much more obvious can you be? Aegon the Conqueror versus Jaehaerys. A peaceful king's reign outlasted the reign of the king who took Westeros with fire and blood. A nice sentiment, but alas, there would be nothing for Targaryens to reign over if nothing had been conquered in the first place. There is a time for peace and a time for action. You can't avoid bloodshed altogether, not after everything we've seen so far, but perhaps acting sooner could have prevented more bloodshed in the future. But even so, I thought, fine. At least Alicent had the brains to reject Rhaenyra's stupid idea, the idea to simply admit to everyone that there's been a mistake and that Rhaenyra should be queen. Let's hold hands and sing Kumbaya. Lucerys and Jaehaerys, we miss ya. Yeah, Alicent rejected this idea, only to backpedal completely in episode 8 and sail her treacherous ass to Dragonstone, where we were treated to this gem of a conversation.
Aemond will soon fly to join Cole in the Riverlands. If you come then to King's Landing, I will see to it that our guards throw down their arms. We will open the gates. We will shed no blood. You will enter as a conqueror.
If I am to take the throne, I must put an end to the opposition. I must take Aegon's head. And I have to do it for all to see. You know this.
A son for a son. You let me go to do what I promised. And you fly to the Red Keep in 3 days' time and you take your throne.
There is a lot to dissect, so let's start with the absolute butchering of Alicent Hightower. Even if we ignore the book character, Alicent from the show is a mess. I'm not annoyed by her emotional nature. I'm horrified by the lack of logical consistency. Even when characters make emotion-based decisions, those decisions should be consistent with their motivations and traits. Aegon flies off on his kamikaze mission to prove himself. An impulsive choice, but we understand perfectly well what made him reach this tipping point. Jace speaks against giving dragons to dragon seeds because of his personal insecurities. While inconsistent with the book, this makes sense within the show because they gave Jace a good reason to have strong feelings about this. What is Alicent's motivation for suddenly throwing her entire family under the bus in the most hypocritical way imaginable? She invites Rhaenyra to waltz into King's Landing and take it. Are we supposed to believe that this is the same woman who once cautioned her eldest son about the potential issue that his mere existence represents?
If Rhaenyra comes into power, your very life could be forfeit. She could move to cut off any challenge to her succession.
Then I won't.
You are the challenge! You are the challenge, Aegon! Simply by living and breathing! You are the king's firstborn son.
And what they know, what everyone in the realm knows, in their blood and in their bones, is that one day you will be our king.
The same woman who fought so hard to put him on the throne. The same woman who defended her other son like a lioness when he lost an eye and no one else cared. The same woman who used her dress as a political statement, signaling to everyone that she chooses her family over the one she married into.
The beacon on the Hightower. Do you know what colour it glows when Old Town calls its banners to war?
Green.
As far as Alicent knows, Rhaenyra ordered the unaliving of her grandson. Rhaenyra sent Rhaenys to Rook's Rest, and again, for all Alicent knows, it was Rhaenys that nearly took Aegon's life. And she probably would have if Aemon had not intervened. Alicent is smarter than this. She has been shown in the episodes past to be smarter than this. She helped rule the kingdom by her father's side. She learned from Otto frickin' Hightower. And she suddenly doesn't understand that Rhaenyra will have to unalive all the Greens if she wants to secure her place on the throne and prevent further disputes? I have a lot more to say about Alicent, and I'll make a separate video for next week, so subscribe if you don't want to miss that one, but for now, let's move on. It's a real shame that Rhaenyra has been stripped of almost all her agency. She couldn't even send Rhaenys into battle. It had to have been her idea that Rhaenyra reluctantly agreed to. Why exactly are we supposed to root for her? She's not a leader, she is passive and indecisive, she doesn't listen to her advisors, she doesn't even really care about her subjects. She grieved for Lord Darklyn when he failed to claim a dragon, but then she simply sent the small folk to deal with Vermithor as best as they can.
I've nothing more to tell you. It must be the dragon who speaks.
She set up the blockade at sea that caused food shortage at King's Landing, yet sent food to the people later on. Which is a clever political move, yes, but it won't convince the audience that she truly cares about the people. Another thing that bothered me in this season of House of the Dragon was the feeling of déjà vu. In almost every episode in the second half of the season, it felt like I was watching some of the same scenes over and over again. Daemon's never-ending visions at Harrenhal blurred together into one long shroom trip. Alicent and Rhaenyra having not one but two scenes where they secretly meet up and try to prevent a war that is already ongoing. Rhaenyra and Mysaria, most of their scenes in this season were practically indistinguishable from one another. And you know how much it irks me that Rhaenyra confides in Mysaria about everything, ignoring the rest of her advisors completely. Her Lord Hand, nah, give him the badge and call it a day. Her son, nah, keep your plans to yourself, involve him as little as possible. Her other council members, nah, slap them across the face, they deserve it. Meanwhile, someone who could have helped Rhaenyra as well ran off to Harrenhal. And lo and behold, Daemon just needed a few weeks of trippy visions to realize that he doesn't actually want the crown. All hail Queen Rhaenyra, no more tensions between them. This has to be the exact opposite of character growth, and I hate it. I'm not even gonna get into the Game of Thrones references, Daenerys, the Long Night, the prince that was promised, the visions. Did we really need to be reminded of Game of Thrones over and over and over again? And speaking of visions, poor Helaena. What have they done to her? She was so mysterious with her prophecies, but now she's literally spelling out Aemon's death and Aegon's new rise to power. Throw in a time and a date, why don't you? For those of us who've read the book, we know what's coming. Even those who haven't probably roughly know what's coming. But did it have to be so overt? She could have said anything else, something like, "You'll sink to the bottom, chained to your sins." Bad example, but you get what I mean. Something cryptic, something juicy. Anything but that. And we must also discuss the elephant in the room. The salt in the sea, if you will.
Driftmark must pass to salt and sea.
I am of salt and sea.
Bruh.
How Corlys has not yet packed his bags and sailed away is beyond me. Let's review. His own brother was decapitated in the middle of the throne room by Daemon. Corlys believes his son and heir is gone, suspects he was offed by Rhaenyra and Daemon. Corlys' own wife was sent into battle alone, with no plan to speak of, no strategy, so she lost her life too. Not to mention that Corlys's true-born granddaughters have been engaged to Rhaenyra's illegitimate sons, which would have been seen as an offense if the show didn't decide to mostly gloss over it. And now Corlys gets named Hand of the Queen. Yay! Except, nay, because this little piece of metal is meant to buy his loyalty, because Rhaenyra knows she can't lose that. But does she treat him like her hand after naming him? Off to Massaria she runs again. Corlys got the badge. He should be grateful, shouldn't he? The disrespect of House Velaryon knows no boundaries.
Bastards!
But enough with the negativity. Let's see what was good in this season of House of the Dragon, because there were definitely a few things we can mention. Firstly, I really enjoyed the friendship, allyship between Larys and Aegon. It was surprisingly wholesome, and the actors are doing a phenomenal job. It was an absolute treat to watch Aegon go from not wanting the crown, to trying to rule, to losing it after he lost his son, to trying yet again and failing because he's unskilled and everyone expects him to be nothing more than a pawn, to going on a suicide mission in hopes of finding a glimpse of respect among the people he wants to impress, to ending up the way he does. And yet he's not done. He's gonna rise like a zombie phoenix from the ashes.
Aegon the Realm's delight.
It was a roller coaster of emotions, and I'm ready for more. Let's ignore this moment, though. I'm gonna try to erase it from my memory, and I highly recommend you do the same.
It burst into flames like a sausage on a spit.
Now, Aemond did get perilously close to a cartoon villain, but the cast of House of the Dragon is truly saving this show, because Ewan Mitchell's performance often tricks you into forgetting how much dumber Aemond got in the second half of Season 2. In theory, I like the idea of power blinding him and causing him to become reckless, but in practice, the execution was a bit clunky. Next character that I absolutely enjoyed and missed his presence after he was fired as Hand was Otto Hightower. He's pragmatic, consistent, and intelligent, which is more than we can say for most characters this season. The scene between him and Aegon in the second episode was fantastic. A+. Another pleasant surprise was Jace.
Look at that hair. As dark as they say.
The confrontation between him and Rhaenyra in episode 7 was a treat, because we know that Jace was very bothered by the issue of his parentage since he was a young boy, and this was satisfying, almost. Not entirely satisfying though, because Rhaenyra did not address her son's concerns.
And what if one of your base-born, silver-haired dragon riders decides he wants to rule the Seven Kingdoms? Did you think I would have dark hair? When you took Harwin Strong into your bed, did you think I might favour him, or did it not cross your mind? Yet I may argue my legitimacy to succeed you because I have a dragon. And now you say you'll strip that from me too.
I mislike all of this, but I cannot gainsay that which the gods have laid before me.
Her reply is, oh, I don't like this situation either. I don't like that we have to find more dragon riders among
mongrels.
Which is a very weak response, a non-answer really, to a big issue. But hey, at least it's consistent with what we came to expect from Rhaenyra, right? I understand that since House of the Dragon has 2 more seasons to fill, they're dragging it out a bit. I don't even mind that they're keeping certain characters around a bit longer, but the way everything came to a halt in the second half of this season was pretty painful, and the final episode felt like a stab in the back, a surprise decapitation. It's unfortunate that Rhaenyra is so uninteresting and lacks proper character motivation. And as I said, what they did to Alicent is unforgivable. So I'll see you next time in an Alicent analysis video. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like on your way out. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye, guys.
It burst into flames like a sausage on a spit.